The call came at 6:42 a.m. Louis Brennan's neighbor, Tom Hadley, was the one who saw it, watched from his kitchen window as the flatbed rolled up Louis's driveway in the dark. Watched two men in coveralls hook the chains. Watched them load the blue Ford F-250 onto the bed and drive away. Tom called before they reached the county road. "Louis, they just took your truck." Louis was standing in his kitchen, coffee cup in his hand. He looked out the window. The space where the truck had been parked for 23 years was empty. "Who did?" "Repo company. Had a flatbed. 2 guys. Took maybe 4 minutes start to finish." Louis set the cup down. "I'll call you back." He stood there for a long time. The sun wasn't up yet. The driveway was empty. The truck was gone. Louis Raymond Brennan, 71 years old, lived outside Gillette, Wyoming, Campbell County, high plains country where the wind never stopped and the winters came early and stayed late. He'd bought the land in 1982, 160 acres of grassland and sage. No trees, no water except what you drilled for. The kind of place people passed through but didn't stay. Louis stayed. He'd served in Vietnam, Marine Corps, 1971 to 1973. Came back quieter than he left. Worked construction in Casper for 6 years. Saved everything. Wanted something permanent, something no one could take. His father had been a renter his whole life, moved 11 times in 30 years. Died in a 1-bedroom apartment in Cheyenne with nothing to his name but a watch and a toolbox. Louis made a promise standing in that apartment after the funeral. He'd own something, he'd build something, and when he died, it would still be there. He bought the 160 acres in March of 1982, paid cash, built a small house himself over 2 summers, ran cattle on contract for a rancher in Rosette. It wasn't much, but it was his. He married a woman named Ellen in 1984. She was a nurse in Gillette. Steady work, steady income. They had 1 son, Michael, born in 1986. Ellen passed in 2019. Stroke. Fast. No warning. Louis buried her on the property under a cottonwood he'd planted in 1985. The only tree on 160 acres. Michael lived in Billings now, called once a month, visited twice a year. Louis lived alone, ran a few head of cattle, fixed fence, paid his bills, kept to himself. The land gave back exactly what you put into it. Louis believed that. He never stopped putting into it. And the truck, the blue Ford F-250 he'd bought new in 2003, was the only thing he drove. 340,000 miles, original engine. He'd maintained it himself, changed the oil every 3,000 miles, replaced the transmission in 2015, new tires in 2024. He'd paid it off in 2008, 16 years ago. He had the title in a drawer in the kitchen, or he thought he did. Louis called the number on the business card Tom had written down. Rocky Mountain Auto Recovery, Casper. A woman answered, professional, polite. "This is Louis Brennan. You took my truck this morning?" "Yes, sir. We had an order from Frontier Credit Union, vehicle repossession. 2003 Ford F-250, VIN matched. We executed at 6:30 this morning. I paid that truck off in 2008. Sir, you'll need to take that up with the lender. We only execute the order." "I'm telling you I paid it off 16 years ago. Do you have proof of that?" Louis opened the kitchen drawer. Bills, receipts, insurance papers. No title. "I have the title." "Then you'll need to present that to Frontier Credit Union. If they verify, we'll release the vehicle." "Where is it now?" "Impound lot, Casper, 1847 East Yellowstone Highway. You'll need to contact Frontier first. We can't release without their authorization." Louis hung up. He went back to the drawer, pulled everything out, spread it across the table. Insurance documents, registration renewals, maintenance records going back to 2003. No title. He checked the filing cabinet in the bedroom, the lockbox under the bed, the desk in the spare room Ellen used to use for paperwork. Nothing. He sat down at the kitchen table, looked out the window at the empty driveway. Ellen had handled the paperwork, all of it, bills, taxes, titles. She filed everything, kept it organized. When she passed, Lewis had gone through her files slowly, kept what seemed important, threw out what didn't. He might have thrown out the title. He didn't remember. Barbara Keene, 44 years old, law degree from University of Wyoming, practiced in Cheyenne for 18 years, partner at Keene and Associates, represented 3 regional banks and 2 national lenders. She specialized in asset recovery litigation, foreclosures, repossessions, defaults. Her win rate was 94%. She'd handled 847 cases in the past 5 years alone. Lewis Brennan's file landed on her desk on June 6, 2026. Frontier Credit Union versus Brennan. Outstanding balance, $11,340. Vehicle repossessed June 5th. Auction scheduled June 18th. Standard case. Elderly debtor claiming he'd paid. No documentation, no proof. Bank records clear. She spent 11 minutes reviewing it, drafted a standard response template, filed it electronically. She'd handled dozens just like it. This one wouldn't be any different. Lewis called Frontier Credit Union at 9 a.m., Gillette branch. The woman who answered transferred him 3 times. He ended up with a loan officer named Stephanie Marr. Mr. Brennan, I'm looking at your account now. Shows an outstanding balance of $11,340 on the 2003 Ford F-250. That's not possible. I paid it off in 2008. Sir, our records show the loan was never satisfied. Final payment was scheduled for July 2008. We show no record of that payment being received. I made every payment, for 5 years, on time, same day every month. I'm not disputing that you made payments, sir, but the final payment, $11,340, was never received. The account went dormant. It was flagged for recovery in April 2026. Lewis felt something cold settle in his chest. 18 years. You're saying I owed money for 18 years and no one told me? Sir, notices were sent. Multiple attempts to contact were made. I never received anything. The address on file is 480 County Road 15, Gillette, Wyoming. That's my address. Then the notices were sent. Lewis closed his eyes. What do I do? You can pay the balance in full, plus repossession fees and impound charges. Total due is $13,680. Once paid, we'll authorize release of the vehicle. What if I don't have that? Then the vehicle will be sold at auction to satisfy the debt. When? Auction is scheduled for June 18th. That's 12 days. Yes, sir. Lewis didn't say anything. Stephanie's voice softened slightly. Mr. Brennan, if you can provide proof the loan was paid in 2008, we can review the account. Do you have a title or a satisfaction letter? No. Then I'm sorry. The balance stands. That night, Lewis sat in the spare room. Ellen's old desk was against the wall. He'd gone through it twice already. Nothing. He opened the bottom drawer one more time. Insurance papers, old medical bills, a stack of greeting cards she'd saved. Beneath the cards, a small, leather-bound checkbook, closed with a rubber band. He pulled it out. The rubber band snapped when he touched it, brittle from age. He opened the checkbook. It was from their old account, First Interstate Bank. They'd switched to Wells Fargo in 2010. The register was filled out in Ellen's handwriting. Dates, amounts, payees. He flipped to the back. July 2008. There. July 18th, 2008. Check number 1847. Frontier Credit Union. $11,340.00. Final payment F-250. Beneath it, in Ellen's neat script, paid in full. Lewis stared at it. She'd made the payment. She'd written it down. She always wrote everything down. He closed the checkbook, held it for a long time. Then he stood up, walked to the phone, called a lawyer he'd heard about in town, left a message. My name is Lewis Brennan. They took my truck. I need help. Daniel Frost, 61 years old, practiced in Gillette for 34 years, small firm, one paralegal, handled everything from DUIs to estate planning. He called Lewis back the next morning. Lewis drove into town that afternoon. Daniel looked at the checkbook register, read Ellen's handwriting, set it down. This proves you wrote the check, doesn't prove they cashed it. How do I prove that? We get the bank records. First Interstate was bought by Wells Fargo in 2011. They'll have archives. Could take weeks. Auctions in 10 days. Daniel leaned back. Then we go to the auction. We bring this. We stop it there. Lewis looked at him. Can we do that? If you have proof they're selling something you own free and clear, yes. The auctioneer has to verify title before the sale. If there's a legitimate dispute, they'll halt it. And if they don't? Then we file an injunction. But that takes a judge. This is faster. The auction was held at Campbell County Fairgrounds, June 18th, 10 a.m. Lewis arrived at 9:30 with Daniel. Tom Hadley drove them. Parked in the gravel lot outside the exhibition hall. Inside, 40 vehicles lined up in rows. Trucks, cars, SUVs. All repossessed, all for sale. The blue F-250 was in the third row, dusty, a numbered placard in the windshield, Lot 23. Lewis walked up to it, stood there, didn't touch it. Daniel checked his watch. Auction starts in 20 minutes. We wait until they call your lot, then we object. Lewis nodded. The room filled slowly. Dealers, flippers, men with clipboards and cash. Some came to buy, some came to watch. At 10 a.m., the auctioneer took the podium. Mike Stoddard, 58 years old. He'd been running vehicle auctions in Wyoming for 31 years. He knew the routine. Morning, folks. 62 lots today. All vehicles sold as is. Title transfers upon payment. Buyer responsible for transport. We start with Lot 1. He worked through the lots methodically. Lot 1, Lot 2, Lot 5, Lot 9. Each one sold in under 3 minutes. At 10:47 a.m., he reached Lot 23. 2003 Ford F-250, blue, 340,000 miles, repossessed by Frontier Credit Union. Outstanding balance $11,340. Opening bid $7,000. A man in the second row raised his hand. $7,000. Do I hear $7,500? Daniel stood. I object to this sale. The room went quiet. Stoddard looked up. Sir, this is an auction. You can't object. You can bid or you can leave. Daniel walked forward. My client is the registered owner of that vehicle. The loan was satisfied in 2008. The bank's claim is invalid. This sale cannot proceed. Stoddard set his gavel down. Do you have proof of that? Daniel pulled the checkbook from his folder, walked it to the podium, opened it to the July 2008 entry. Stoddard read it, looked at Daniel, looked at Lewis standing in the back. This is a checkbook register, written by the vehicle owner's late wife. Shows the final payment made July 18, 2008. Check number 1847. Amount matches the bank's claim exactly. This doesn't prove the check cleared. It proves the check was written. If Frontier Credit Union claims it was never received, they need to prove that. Until they do, this vehicle is not theirs to sell. Stoddard looked at the Frontier Credit Union representative sitting in the front row, a man in a pressed suit with a leather folder. He stood. Your Honor, I'm not a judge, Stoddard said. I'm an auctioneer. Sir, the bank's records are clear. The loan was never satisfied. This is a delay tactic. Daniel didn't raise his voice. Then produce the records. Show us proof the check wasn't deposited. The representative hesitated. Our system was updated in 2012. Records prior to that are archived. So you can't prove it. We can prove the account was never marked satisfied. Well, that's not the same thing. Stoddard picked up his phone, called someone, spoke quietly for 2 minutes, hung up. He looked at Daniel. I'm halting this lot pending verification. The vehicle stays impounded. Frontier Credit Union has 30 days to produce documentation proving the debt is valid. If they can't, the vehicle is released to Mr. Brennan. If they can, The auction resumes. He looked at the Frontier representative. Call your legal team, figure it out. He picked up his gavel. Lot 24, 2011 Chevy Silverado. Barbara Keene received the call at 11:14 a.m. The Frontier representative explained what happened, the checkbook, the objection, the halt. Barbara listened, said nothing for 10 seconds. Get me copies of everything, the checkbook entry, the payment history, the archived records request. I'll handle it. She hung up, opened the file, read it again. Elderly debtor, deceased wife, checkbook register from 2008. She'd seen cases like this before. They usually folded when pressed. No proof, no resources, no fight left. But this one had stopped an auction in front of 60 people. She picked up the phone, called Wells Fargo's records department, requested archived microfilm for First Interstate Bank account transactions July 2008. The clerk said it would take 3 weeks. Barbara said she needed it in 10 days. The clerk said that wasn't possible. Barbara said it was for active litigation and gave her case number. The clerk said she'd try. The records arrived on June 28th. Wells Fargo sent them directly to Barbara's office. Scanned images of archived microfilm, 14 pages. Barbara opened the file, found check number 1847, written by Ellen Brennan, July 18, 2008, payable to Frontier Credit Union, amount $11,340.00. Deposited July 21, 2008, cleared July 23, 2008. Deposited into Frontier Credit Union's merchant account. Barbara stared at the page. She picked up the phone, called Frontier's compliance department. I need the account update log for loan number 4782-0034, July 2008 through August 2008. They sent it within an hour. She read through it. Payment received July 23, 2008. Amount $11,340.00. Transaction ID 847JUL08. No satisfaction entry, no lien release filed, no closure code. The payment had been received, processed, deposited, and then never applied to the account. Someone had made an error 18 years ago, a clerical mistake, a missed checkbox in a system that no longer existed. And now Frontier Credit Union had repossessed a vehicle the customer didn't owe money on. Barbara closed the file. She drafted a letter, 2 pages, sent it to Frontier's general counsel with a recommendation. Settle immediately, release the vehicle, and hope Mr. Brennan didn't file a lawsuit for wrongful repossession. She didn't copy Louis Brennan's attorney. Professional courtesy only went so far. Daniel Frost received a call on July 2nd. Barbara Keene. Professional. Polite. Mr. Frost, I represent Frontier Credit Union in the Brennan matter. I'm calling to inform you that we've located the archived payment records. Check number 1847 was deposited and cleared in July 2008. The loan was satisfied. The repossession was made in error. Daniel said nothing. Frontier is prepared to release the vehicle immediately. We'll waive all impound and storage fees, and will provide Mr. Brennan with a formal letter of apology and a lien release. What else? Barbara hesitated. I'm sorry? You repossessed a vehicle he didn't owe money on. You threatened to auction it. You put a 71-year-old man through 3 weeks of stress over a mistake your bank made 18 years ago. What else are you offering? Mr. Frost, we're prepared to be reasonable. Then be reasonable. Compensate him. For what? Emotional distress. 3 weeks without his only vehicle, loss of use, and your time because your client wasted it. Barbara was quiet. What are you asking for? $5,000. The vehicle returned with a full tank of gas. The lien release filed with the state within 48 hours, and a written guarantee that this will never happen again. I'll need to discuss it with my client. You have until end of business tomorrow. Daniel hung up. The settlement letter arrived on July 3rd, $5,000, paid by check, Vehicle released immediately. Lien release filed. Formal apology signed by Frontier's president. Lewis read it in Daniel's office, set it down. $5,000. Yes. For their mistake. Yes. Lewis looked out the window. I just wanted the truck back. I know, but you're entitled to this. They took something that was yours. They need to make it right. Lewis drove to the impound lot in Casper on July 5th. Tom Hadley drove him. The blue F-250 was parked in the same spot, Lot 23 placard still in the window. Lewis walked up to it, ran his hand along the hood, opened the door, sat in the driver's seat. The tank was full. Tom stood beside the truck. You good? Lewis nodded, didn't say anything. He turned the key. The engine started on the first try. Lewis drove home alone, same highway he'd driven for 40 years. The land stretched out flat on both sides, sage and grass and wind. He pulled into his driveway at dusk, parked the truck in the same spot it had been taken from. He sat there for a while, engine off, windows down. Then he got out, walked inside, made a phone call. Michael answered. Dad? Got the truck back. There was a long pause. Then Michael laughed, quiet, relieved. Good. They talked for a while, nothing important. The weather, the cattle, Michael's job. When they hung up, Lewis sat at the kitchen table, opened the drawer, pulled out the checkbook. He looked at Ellen's handwriting one more time. Paid in full. He set it back in the drawer, closed it. Then he stood up, walked outside, got in the truck, drove into town to buy groceries. Same truck, same road, same life. Everything back where it belonged. Records matter. Proof matters. The people who keep them matter most of all. Ellen Brennan never knew her checkbook would save that truck 18 years later, but she kept it anyway, because that's what you do when you build something meant to last. Stories like this don't get told enough. Subscribe, and we'll make sure they do. Next time, an 80-year-old rancher receives an eviction notice for land his family has worked since 1891. What he pulled from a forgotten safe changed 3 counties. We'll see you there. Paste your script.